Imagine this. For decades, women screamed from every rooftop, every classroom, every social media platform, every courtroom, do not approach me, do not talk to me, do not look at me. I do not want your attention. They made entire movements out of telling men to leave them alone. And men, being the reasonable, adaptable creatures that we are, we listened, we backed off, we shut up, we walked away. Now, as everything around them starts to crumble, as the bills pile up, as the loneliness creeps in, as the state checks get smaller and the streets get meaner, suddenly the tune has changed. Now they're furious that we're not approaching. Now they're demanding we come back, risk everything, and chase them again. And if you've already walked away, if you're out here living your best life, they look down their noses and call you broken, lonely, lost. Stay with me to the very end, because by the time this video is over, you're going to see exactly why millions of men are never, ever going back, and why that decision is the most powerful thing any man can do right now. If you're new here or you've been riding with me for a while, smash that like button right now. Share this video with every man you know who needs to hear this. And subscribe so you never miss another dose of raw, unfiltered truth from your boy Angry Guy. And listen, if you're tired of watching your wealth disappear because you don't understand this crypto and blockchain space, go click the link in the description and join Angry's Crypto Academy today. I teach regular guys exactly how to buy, sell, trade, and most importantly, protect your assets so nobody can ever take what you've worked for. The Academy is linked down below. Go check it out right now. Thank me later. Also, if these videos are firing you up, if they're waking you up, if they're helping you see the game for what it is, show some love and buy me a Red Bull. Link is in the description. Every can keeps the rage fueled and the truth coming. Let's get into it. Let me take you back, way back, to a time when the message was crystal clear. Every man alive heard it. You couldn't escape it. Billboards, TV commercials, university orientation videos, corporate HR trainings, TikTok, Instagram. Everywhere you looked, the message was the same. Men, do not approach women you do not know. Do not catcall. Do not flirt in the elevator. Do not send a drink over at the bar. Do not slide into DMs. Do not compliment her outfit. Do not, under any circumstances, make her feel uncomfortable with your unwanted male attention. And if you dared cross that invisible, ever-shifting line, you were labeled creepy at best, a predator at worst. Your job, your reputation, your freedom, all of it could disappear in an instant because you said hello the wrong way to the wrong person on the wrong day. And what did men do? We adapted. That's what men have always done. We saw the new rules, we saw the new risks, and we changed our behavior. We put our heads down. We stopped approaching in bars, in grocery stores, at the gym, on the street, everywhere. We moved the conversation online where there was at least a paper trail. And even there, we got called out, blocked, reported, canceled. So a lot of us just stopped altogether. We said, fine, you want space? You've got it. We're out. Fast forward to today, 2025, and watch the narrative do a complete 180 practically overnight. Now, the same voices that told us to back off are absolutely losing their minds because guess what? Men actually backed off. Now they're making video after video, post after post, crying, whining, demanding. Where have all the good men gone? Why won't men approach anymore? Why are men so scared? Masculinity is in crisis. They act like we ghosted them out of nowhere, like we woke up one day and collectively decided to be shy. No, sweetheart, you told us in 1,000 different ways to leave you alone, and we finally listened. You wanted to be left alone. Congratulations, mission accomplished. And the funniest part, the part that makes me laugh every single time, is the contempt they still try to throw at the men who have peacefully exited the game. They look at a man who's out here stacking money, hitting the gym, eating steak every night, traveling with his boys, building businesses, collecting watches, sleeping diagonal across a king-size bed with nobody nagging him about dishes or emotions or where this is going, and they have the nerve to call that man lonely. They have the audacity to say he's missing out. They try to paint male solitude as a prison, as punishment, as some kind of mental health crisis. Let me be crystal clear for everybody watching right now. A man's solitude is not his prison. A man's solitude is his palace. It is his peace. It is the first time in his entire adult life that many of us have ever tasted true freedom. See, here's what they never understood. And this is the part that's becoming painfully obvious to them now. Women have always had privilege, but they mistook it for power. Let me break that down because this distinction is everything. Privilege is when society bends over backwards to give you special treatment just for showing up. Privilege is when you get shorter sentences for the same crime. Privilege is when you can cry in a police station and people automatically believe you. Privilege is when entire government departments and corporate diversity quotas exist to fast track you ahead of more qualified candidates. Privilege is when you can walk into any public space and know that 99% of the men around you have been trained from birth to see your comfort as more important than their own safety. That's privilege. And women have had oceans of it for decades. But power is different. Power is the ability to build, to enforce, to protect, to lead, to say no, and make it stick. Power is what men have always had, even when we voluntarily restrained it to keep society running smoothly. We built the grid, we laid the pipes, we paved the roads, we stocked the stores, we enforced the laws. And yes, for a long time, we also chose to extend our protection and provision to women without demanding much in return, because that's what honorable men do. We saw it as our role. We took pride in it. But when you spend 50 years spitting in the face of the people who keep the lights on, eventually those people stop volunteering to keep the lights on for you. That's not theory. That's not ideology. That's human nature. Women were told by feminism that they didn't need men. They were told they could have it all: career, independence, casual hookups, government assistance, the whole fantasy package. And for a little while, it looked like that might actually work because men kept quietly holding everything together in the background while women went out and lived their truth. But here's the part nobody wanted to say out loud: all of that so called independence was subsidized by male labor, male taxes, male compliance, and male silence. The moment enough men decide, you know what, I'm not playing this game anymore, the whole fantasy collapses like a house of cards in a wind tunnel. And brothers, that moment is happening right now in real time on platforms all across the internet. You can't scroll for 10 minutes without seeing another clip of a woman in her late 20s, early 30s, sometimes older, sitting in her car or her apartment, mascara running, voice cracking, asking the camera, where are all the men? Why won't anyone commit? Why is dating so hard? And the best ones, the absolute comedy gold, are the ones who still try to flex like they're in the power position. You've seen them. I'm a high value woman. I bring so much to the table. I have my own this, I have my own that. If you want me, you need to step up. Ma'am, with all due respect, the table is on fire and the building is collapsing. Nobody's trying to pull up a chair. They genuinely thought men were bluffing. They thought the threats to walk away were just empty words from bitter losers who would eventually come crawling back the moment they snapped their fingers. They never imagined that millions of us would look around, do the math, weigh the risk against the rewards, and quietly decide that a peaceful life without the drama, without the legal liabilities, without the constant criticism was actually the winning move. They never thought we'd discover that happiness doesn't require a ring, a white dress, 2.5 kids, and a mortgage we can't afford. They never thought we'd figure out that a man can wake up at noon on a Saturday, hit the gym, eat ribeye for dinner, play video games with the boys until 3 a.m., and go to bed with zero arguments, zero accusations, zero stress, and that this is objectively better than 95% of the relationships we see around us. And now the panic is setting in because the privileges are evaporating one by one. The state checks aren't stretching as far. The corporate ladder has termites. The dating apps are sausage fests with premium subscriptions nobody wants to pay for. The you go girl economy is running on fumes. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. And the men who used to be the backstop, the safety net, the walking ATMs, the emotional punching bags, the fix-it felons, those men have left the building. We're not angry anymore. We're not begging anymore. We're not explaining anymore. We're just gone. The mask is off now, completely off. You can hear it in their voices when they think nobody's really listening. You can see it in the comment sections when they're talking to each other instead of performing for male attention. The panic isn't subtle anymore. It's raw. It's desperate. It's the sound of millions of women realizing all at the same time that the fairy tale they were sold was never sustainable, and the men they spent years mocking, belittling, and pushing away are not coming back to save them. Not this time. Not ever. And let me paint the picture for you so clearly that you can almost smell the desperation through the screen. A woman in her mid 30s gets off work at 6:30 p.m. She's got a decent job, nothing crazy. Maybe marketing, maybe HR, maybe some remote gig that lets her wear yoga pants all day and post empowerment quotes on LinkedIn. She drives home to the apartment she can barely afford because rent doubled in 5 years and her salary sure didn't. She opens the fridge, half a bottle of white wine, some sad looking spinach, and leftovers from a meal kit she ordered because cooking for one feels pointless. She pours the wine, sits on the couch, scrolls TikTok, and the algorithm knows exactly what to serve her. Clip after clip of other women just like her asking the same question through fake tears. Why won't men approach us anymore? And in the background, you hear the cat meowing because even the cat is tired of her energy. She doesn't say it out loud yet, but deep down, she knows. She knows the last guy who showed genuine interest, the one who actually wanted to build something real, got called too intense or love bomby because he texted good morning every day for 2 weeks. She knows the guy before that got ghosted because he made six figures but didn't have the vibe she was looking for. She knows the one before that got accused of being controlling because he asked where she was at 2 a.m. when she was out with the girls. She knows the trail of destruction she left behind her in the name of finding herself and living my truth and not settling. And now the truth is finding her and it's ugly. Meanwhile, across town, there's a man. Let's call him Mike. Mike is 32. 5 years ago, Mike was exactly where society told him he was supposed to be, chasing women, buying drinks, planning dates, listening to problems that were never his to solve, getting cheated on, getting lied to, getting financially drained, getting emotionally gutted. Mike was a good dude. He had a decent job, hit the gym, dressed well, had hobbies, showed up on time, paid for everything, remembered birthdays. Mike did everything right, and Mike got treated like garbage for it. So one day, Mike woke up, looked in the mirror, and said, no more. He deleted the dating apps. He stopped chasing. He took the money he used to spend on dates and invested it. He took the time he used to spend arguing and put it into the gym. He took the energy he used to spend trying to keep somebody happy and put it into himself. Fast forward 5 years, and Mike owns two rental properties, drives a paid off truck, has a dog that worships him, a circle of brothers who would take a bullet for him, and a bank account that makes him smile every time he checks it. Mike eats steak 4 nights a week. Mike sleeps 8 hours a night. Mike wakes up every morning with zero drama and zero dread. Mike is living better by every single measurable metric than 99% of married men with children. And women hate him for it. They hate him because his existence is proof that everything they were told about men needing women to be complete was a lie. Proof that a man can walk away and not only survive, but thrive. Proof that peace is worth more than passion when the passion comes with chaos. Proof that solitude is not suffering. Proof that the threat of you'll die alone only works on men who haven't tasted freedom yet. And the craziest part, Mike isn't even mad anymore. He's not out here making videos screaming about women. He's not bitter. He's not crying in his truck. He's just gone. He's playing golf on Saturday morning. He's smoking cigars with the boys on Friday night. He's taking his mom to dinner on Sunday. He's building a shop in his garage. He's planning a trip to Thailand with his best friend from high school. Mike is living the life that women swore was impossible without them. And every time one of these TikTok clips pops up calling men like Mike damaged or emotionally unavailable or scared of a strong woman, the only thing Mike does is laugh, turn the volume down, and go back to whatever he was doing that was making him happy 5 seconds ago. But that's the part they can't stand. They expected rage. They expected begging. They expected us to be on our knees, devastated without their validation. Instead, they got silence. Instead, they got men who looked at the deal on the table, said hard pass, and walked away whistling. And now the silence is deafening. You see it in the statistics nobody wants to talk about on mainstream platforms. Marriage rates collapsing, birth rates in free fall across every developed country. Men under 35 with six-figure investment accounts and zero interest in cohabitation. Women over 30 with advanced degrees in fertility windows closing faster than they can refresh Hinge. The passport bros phenomenon exploding. Entire online communities of men teaching each other how to build wealth, how to travel cheap, how to stay in shape, how to vet business partners, how to disappear overseas if things ever get too crazy at home. These aren't broken men. These aren't incels hiding in basements. These are high functioning, high earning, high testosterone men who simply looked at the current social contract and said, yeah, I'm good. And the women who spent the last 2 decades telling men we don't need you are now watching in horror as men collectively respond, cool, we don't need you either. In fact, we're better off. This isn't revenge. This isn't punishment. This is cause and effect. This is the natural consequence of telling an entire gender for generations that their presence is toxic, their instincts are dangerous, their natural desires are predatory, and their protection is oppressive. You don't get to demonize masculinity for 50 years and then act surprised when masculine men opt out of protecting the people who demonize them. Let me say that again, slower so it really sinks in. You do not get to spend half a century telling men they are the problem and then act shocked when those same men stop volunteering to be your solution. Women were never designed to live independently of men long term. That's not hate speech, that's biology, history, and reality talking. For 99.9% of human existence, women lived in communities surrounded by male protection and provision. Even the strongest, most capable woman in 1250 AD knew that if raiders showed up at the gate, her survival depended on the men who were willing to stand between her and violence. That dynamic didn't disappear because someone wrote a manifesto in 1963. It was papered over with technology, welfare states, and male compliance. Remove the compliance, and the old rules snap back into place faster than anyone wants to admit. And that's exactly what's happening now. The compliance is gone. The simps are broke. The white knights got tired of being used as doormats. The nice guys woke up and realized being nice got them nowhere but disrespected. The high value men looked at the juice and decided it wasn't worth the squeeze. And the average guy, the guy who just wanted a peaceful home and a loyal partner, that guy looked at divorce statistics, false allegations, family court horror stories, and said, I'll pass. So now women are left holding the bag. And the bag is heavy. Rent is due. The car payment is late. The kid needs braces. The job is soul crushing. The dating pool is a landfill. The friends who used to hype her up are all secretly miserable too. And there's no strong male shoulder to cry on because the men who used to offer those shoulders finally realized nobody was offering them anything in return except criticism and liability. And this is the great awakening happening in slow motion. Millions of women waking up every day to the realization that the independence they were promised came with a price tag they can't afford. And the men they were told were disposable were actually the foundation everything else was built on. And the most brutal part, Even now, even as the walls close in, many of them still can't bring themselves to admit the obvious. They still can't say, "We were wrong. We took it too far. Please come back." Because that would require humility. And humility has been bred out of an entire generation by participation trophies, social media validation, and the constant message that they're perfect exactly as they are. Instead, they double down, they make more videos. I'm a queen. I'm a prize. He wasn't man enough for me anyway. They tell themselves these stories because the alternative is too terrifying to face, that they burned the bridge, salted the earth, and the men on the other side aren't coming back no matter how loud they scream across the canyon. But some women are starting to see it. You can spot them in the comment sections. The quiet ones, the ones who don't post their own videos yet, but they're watching, they're reading, they're taking notes. They see their older sisters, their coworkers, their college friends hitting the wall at warp speed, and they're asking themselves, do I want that? They're watching men thrive in ways they were told was impossible, and they're thinking, maybe I've been lied to. Those are the ones who still have a chance, the ones who are willing to look in the mirror and admit that the culture sold them a fantasy that only works when men agree to play along, and men have stopped playing. The rest, they're going to learn the hard way. And unfortunately, a lot of them are going to try to drag the rest of society down with them before they finally accept reality. But that's not our problem anymore. That's the beauty of walking away. Once you cross that threshold, once you internalize that your peace is non negotiable, their chaos can't touch you, their tears can't guilt you, their insults can't shame you, their threats can't scare you, because you've already seen the matrix, you've already done the math, you already know that a life of freedom, brotherhood, purpose, and self respect is worth infinitely more than any relationship built on obligation, resentment, and one sided sacrifice. And that, my brothers, is true power. Not the power to control women, not the power to punish women, but the power to walk away from a game that was never fair and build something better with the years you have left. We're just getting started. Now, let's talk about the one weapon they still think they have left, the shaming language. This is the part that makes me laugh the hardest because it's the only card they have left to play. And it's expired, laminated, and falling apart at the edges. Every single day, some new influencer with ring light eyes and a $19 microphone sits in her car and records the same script. You guys are emotionally damaged. You're scared of a real woman. You're going to die alone with your video games and your crypto. You're low value males avoiding accountability. You're man children who can't handle a boss babe. And every single day, millions of men watch those clips, shrug, mute the video, and go back to deadlifting, closing real estate deals, eating ribeyes, and cashing dividend checks. The shaming doesn't land anymore. It bounces off like cheap plastic bullets against a Kevlar vest because we've already lived the alternative. We've already been called controlling for wanting loyalty. We've already been called insecure for not wanting our girl dancing on strangers at the club at 2 a.m. We've already been called toxic for having boundaries. We've already been called broke by women who make 48,000 a year and have 200,000 in student loans for a communications degree. We've heard it all. The words have no power when you've seen the movie and know how it ends. So now when they scream, "You're going to die alone," the only response a man has to give is a slow nod and a quiet, okay? And because dying alone suddenly doesn't look so bad when the other option is dying slow in a 30-year marriage where you're tolerated at best and despised at worst, where your house is no longer your castle, where your money is our money, but her money is her money, where your kids are taught to look at you like a walking wallet and a relic of oppression, where one bad day and one phone call can take half of everything you spent a lifetime building. Nah, we're good. Let me tell you a quick story about a guy I know personally. I'm changing the name, but everything else is 100% real. We'll call him Chris. Chris got married at 29 to his college sweetheart. Beautiful wedding, 250 guests, the whole fairy tale. He was making low six figures as an engineer. She was a teacher. They bought the house, had two kids, got the dog, the SUV, the yearly Disney trip. Chris worked 60-hour weeks, coached Little League on Saturdays, fixed everything that broke, paid every bill on time, still found time to bring her flowers and plan date nights. By every external metric, Chris was the perfect modern husband. 10 years in, she got bored, started going out with the girls 3, 4 nights a week, started dressing differently, started talking about finding herself again. Chris tried to fix it. Counseling, more date nights, more chores, more everything. She filed anyway. Took the kids, took the dog, took half his retirement, took the house he still has to pay the mortgage on, while he sleeps in a 1-bedroom apartment that smells like old pizza and broken dreams. He gets the kids every other weekend and twice a week for dinner. And every time he drops them off, she's got a new uncle waiting in the driveway with a man bun and a podcast. Chris texts me last month and says, I finally get it. I would rather be alone for the rest of my life than ever go through that again. I'm lifting again. I'm stacking money. I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in a decade. I'm free. That's not an outlier story anymore. That's the default setting. That's the rule, not the exception. And every man who's been through it or watched his father go through it or his brother or his best friend, every one of us looked at that roulette table and said, I'm not spinning that wheel again. And the women who are watching this happen in real time still have the nerve to ask, why are men checking out? Because we did the math, sweetheart. The juice is not worth the squeeze. The risk is insane, and the reward is non existent. Let's run the numbers out loud so nobody can pretend they don't understand. Current scoreboard in 2025. 50% plus of marriages end in divorce, higher for second and third marriages. 70 to 80% of those divorces are initiated by women. Men lose their children. Primary custody to mothers in 80 to 90% of cases, minus men lose half or more of everything they own. Men pay alimony and child support that can last 20 plus years. One single accusation, no evidence needed in many states and campuses, can destroy a man's job, reputation, and freedom. Prenups are being thrown out left and right by activist judges. Believe women culture means due process is optional if a man is the accused. Now, what do men get in return for signing up for that lottery ticket? A woman who on average, has a higher body count than any previous generation, who's been told since middle school that she's perfect exactly as she is, who's been flooded with attention and validation from age 13 onward, who brings debt demands and an entitlement complex the size of Texas, and who can walk away the moment she feels unfulfilled and take everything with her. Tell me again where the incentive is. I'll wait. There isn't one. There never was. The only reason men ever played that game was because society lied to us and said it was our duty, our purpose, our only path to respect and legacy. And now that the internet exists, now that men can talk to each other without female gatekeepers, now that we can see millions of lived experiences in real time, the lie has been exposed for good. And that exposure is permanent. You don't unsee this stuff. Once a man takes the red pill, whatever you want to call it, he doesn't go back to sleep. He can't. The matrix glitches too hard. That's why the panic videos keep coming. That's why the tone is getting more frantic every month. They can feel the ground shifting under their feet. They can feel the privileges slipping away one by one. And the worst part for them is that there's no villain to point at. There's no evil patriarch plotting in a smoky room. There's just millions of individual men quietly, peacefully making the same rational decision. Not worth it, moving on. No protests, no violence, no screaming, just withdrawal of attention, effort, resources, and participation. The most powerful revolution in human history, and it's happening in silence, one deleted dating app at a time, one gym membership at a time, one investment account at a time, one passport stamp at a time. This is what walking away really looks like. Not rage, not tears, just cold, calm, relentless indifference. And indifference, my brothers, is the one thing a woman cannot negotiate with. She can argue with anger. She can bargain with guilt. She can flirt with desire. but she has no tools for indifference. When a man truly does not care what she thinks of him, her power evaporates instantly. That's the real power shift happening right now. Not men oppressing women, not men taking rights away, just men reclaiming the one thing we were told we had to give away to be considered real men: our unconditional commitment, protection, and provision to women who never earned it and never appreciated it. We're keeping it now. We're investing it in ourselves, in our brothers, in our purpose, in our peace. And the beautiful part, we're happier than we've ever been. Look around any major city on a Friday night. The bars are full of women in their 30s and 40s trying to recreate their early 20s energy, while the men their age are at steakhouses with the boys, or at fight nights, or playing poker, or flying to Colombia for the weekend. The dating apps are ghost towns of women swiping on the same 2% of men, while the other 98% of us are out here living better than ever. The script flipped, and most of them still haven't read the new pages. But we have, and we're not giving the old script back. Ever. The craziest part is watching them try every single trick in the playbook now that the old ones stopped working. They've moved through all 5 stages of grief in public on camera in real time, and we've got front row seats with popcorn. Stage 1 was denial. Where are all the good men? Men are just intimidated by strong women. Dating apps are broken. It's the economy. Anything but the truth. Like stage 2 was anger. This is when the men are trash era hit fever pitch. The viral rants, the all men generalizations, the screaming into ring lights about how masculinity is toxic and how every problem in their life is somehow a man's fault, even though most of them hadn't had a stable man in their life in years. That phase was loud. It was ugly, and it pushed even more men away. Stage 3 was bargaining, and this is where we are right now, late 2025 into 2026. This is the funniest one because this is when they start trying to rewrite history like screenwriters on a deadline. Suddenly, the same women who told you a man's opinion of me doesn't define me are making hour-long podcasts about how men need to step up and lead again. The same women who said, I don't need a man, I have my career and my cats, are now posting thirst traps with captions like, waiting for my king to find me. The same women who bragged about body counts and hoe phases are now preaching about wanting a traditional masculine protector provider. The same women who mocked stay at home moms and 1950s gender roles are now crying that nobody wants to pay for their dinner anymore. They're offering deals now. They're negotiating like their lives depend on it, because in a very real way, they do. You've seen the videos. I'll cook and clean if you just commit. I don't want your money. I just want loyalty. I'm willing to submit if you're a real man. I'll sign a prenup. Just please marry me. They're throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. Some are even going religious overnight, posting Bible verses they never read, talking about God's design for marriage like they didn't spend the last 10 years calling that same design oppressive patriarchy. And the wildest part? A few men are actually falling for it. A few are listening to the sirens and steering the ship back toward the rocks. You'll see it here and there. Some dude who was 3 years deep into the monk mode lifestyle, passport in hand, gym gains popping, bank account fat, and then one pretty girl with soft lighting and a submissive era caption hits him with the sad eyes and the I've changed speech, and he forgets every horror story he ever heard. 6 months later, he's back posting blue pill copium quotes and wondering why his peace disappeared overnight. That's why we keep preaching. That's why we keep making these videos, because the programming runs deep. Some of our brothers are still half asleep. Some still believe that if they just find the right one, everything will be different. Some still think that the new rules don't apply if she's different. We've all been that guy at some point. We're not judging. We're just here to grab you by the shoulders, look you in the eyes, and say, brother, she is not different. The game is the game. The incentives are the incentives. The laws are the laws. The culture is the culture. And none of it is changing anytime soon. Because here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Even if every woman on earth woke up tomorrow and genuinely wanted to go back to 1955 gender roles, the legal and cultural infrastructure that made those roles possible has been dismantled piece by piece for 2 generations. You can't just flip a switch and bring it back. The family courts are still biased. The divorce industry is still lucrative. The cultural messaging still paints masculinity as toxic. Social media still rewards female hypergamy on steroids. The incentives are still broken. Wanting to be traditional doesn't magically rebuild the traditional world that made female submission safe, respectable, and enforceable. That world is gone. And the men who built it aren't volunteering to rebuild it just because some women on TikTok suddenly decided they like the aesthetics of the 1950s when it benefits them, but still want all the freedoms of 2025 when it suits them. You want a traditional man? Cool. Go find one who's willing to risk everything he's built on a promise that the system will treat him fairly if it all goes south. Good luck with that search. That's why the I'll submit videos fall on deaf ears for most of us now. We've seen that movie too. We know how it ends. We've watched our fathers, our uncles, our friends, our coworkers get destroyed by women who swore up and down they were different right up until the moment they weren't. Submission without enforceable consequences is just a costume. And most of us aren't into cosplay anymore. So now they're moving into stage 4, depression. This is the quiet phase. This is when the videos stop being angry and start being sad. This is when the filters come off and the wine glasses come out and the I guess I'll just be the cool aunt energy starts creeping in. This is when the late night stories hit different, when the bravado cracks and you hear the little shake in the voice that wasn't there 6 months ago. This is when they start deleting old posts, the ones bragging about being child free and thriving, the ones about living my best single life, the ones with the bikini pics and the no man can handle me captions. They're scrubbing the evidence because deep down, they know the internet never forgets. And neither do the men who screenshot everything. This is when the therapy appointments triple and the SSRIs get refilled and the group chats with the girls turn into daily crisis sessions about how there are no good men left. And some of them, a growing number every month, are starting to admit out loud what they used to only whisper. I think we messed up. I think feminism sold us a lie. I wish I could go back and choose differently. But here's the cold reality. Even if every single one of them meant it, even if every single one of them was ready to burn the ideology to the ground and beg for the old ways back, it wouldn't matter because the men who could have given them that world are already gone. And the men who are still here have zero incentive to rebuild it. We're in stage 5 now as men. Acceptance. We've accepted that the social contract is dead. We've accepted that peace is better than passion. We've accepted that freedom is better than obligation. We've accepted that brotherhood is more reliable than romance. We've accepted that a man's value is not measured by how many women he can attract, but by how well he can live without needing any of them. And once a man reaches that stage, there is no going back. Ever. You can't shame him. You can't guilt him. You can't tempt him. You can't threaten him because he's already won. He's already free. And freedom, real freedom, tastes better than anything they could ever offer again. So when they ask, where have all the good men gone? The answer is simple. We're right here. We never left. We just stopped playing a game that was rigged from the start, and we're not coming back. Not for tears, not for promises, not for I've changed, not for anything. Because for the first time in our lives, we finally have something more valuable than female approval. We have peace. And peace, brothers, is priceless. The final stage for them hasn't fully arrived yet, but it's coming. You can feel it in the air, like storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Stage 5 for women is going to be acceptance, but it won't look like ours. Our acceptance is calm. It's quiet. It's a man standing on a mountain he climbed himself, looking out at the view and smiling because nobody can take it from him. Their acceptance is going to be different. Their acceptance is going to be the sound of millions of doors closing forever, one after another. in perfect synchronization and the realization that nobody is coming to open them again. Because here's what they still don't fully grasp: men walking away isn't a phase, it isn't a trend, it isn't a crisis of masculinity that can be fixed with the right TED talk or government program or viral campaign telling men to man up. This is permanent, this is generational, this is the new normal. The boys turning 18 in 2025, 2026, 2027, they've watched their fathers get destroyed. They've watched their older brothers get lied to, cheated on, and discarded. They've watched their favorite YouTubers, their favorite athletes, their favorite musicians get Me Too'd into oblivion over a tweet from 10 years ago. They've grown up in a world where every male teacher is terrified to be alone in a room with a female student, where every compliment can be weaponized, where every relationship is a potential landmine. These kids aren't stupid. They're watching, they're learning, and they're making the same decision we made, except they're making it at 20 instead of 35 or 40. They're skipping the entire experiment. They're not even stepping onto the field. They're building different fields. Crypto wallets by 16, gym memberships by 17, businesses by 19, passports by 21, and zero interest in wife, kids, white picket fence, any of it. These young men are growing up watching the strongest, smartest, most successful men they know choose peace over partnership, and they're copying the blueprint before they ever have to learn the hard way. That's game over. That's checkmate in one move. Because once an entire generation of men opts out before they ever opt in, the game doesn't reset. It ends. And the craziest part, most of them are doing it without hate in their hearts. They're not raging. They're not cursing women. They're not plotting revenge. They're just living. They're playing Call of Duty with the boys in 6 different time zones. They're flipping properties in the Midwest. They're day trading meme coins and turning 5 grand into 50. They're backpacking through Asia for 6 months on 10 grand total. They're building shops in their garages and learning to weld and raising pit bulls and smoking brisket that would make a Texan cry. They're happy, genuinely, deeply, unshakably happy. And happiness without women in the equation destroys every narrative feminism ever sold, because the entire feminist project was built on one core assertion: that women hold the keys to male fulfillment. That without female approval, validation, and companionship, men would spiral into despair, dysfunction, and self destruction. That's why they spent decades telling boys that their value came from how desirable they were to women. That's why they built an entire culture around the idea that a man isn't complete until he's locked down in a relationship. And now millions of men are standing up, looking around and saying, "Actually, I'm good. No despair, no dysfunction, and no self-destruction, and just peace, purpose, brotherhood, and bank accounts that keep growing." That's the ultimate red pill. Not anger, not bitterness, not even indifference anymore. Just joy, pure, unfiltered, masculine joy. And once a man tastes that, once he realizes he can wake up every single day with zero drama, zero demands, zero disrespect, zero fear that one wrong text message could cost him everything he's worked for, or itapay, once he feels that in his bones, there is no offer on earth that can pull him back. No amount of "I'll cook and clean," "I'll dish you," no amount of "I'll submit," yeah, no amount of "you're the man of the house," no amount of tears, promises, or lingerie, because he already has the one thing every man spends his whole life chasing, thinking he can only get it from a woman: peace of mind. And he got it by walking away. And so when they ask, how do we get men to come back? The answer is, you don't. You can't. The door isn't just closed. The house has been sold. The keys have been melted down and turned into a sick gold chain he wears to the gym. There is no coming back. There is only forward. And forward looks glorious. It looks like men in their prime, physically, financially, mentally, spiritually, stronger than any generation before them, living on their own terms, accountable to no one but themselves and the brothers they choose to ride with. It looks like freedom, real freedom, and not the fake independence that was sold to women, the kind that leaves you 38, childless, in debt, with 3 cats and a wine habit. The real kind, the kind men are building right now, brick by brick, rep by rep, dollar by dollar, passport stamp by passport stamp. And the best part, we're just getting started. This movement isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Every day more men wake up. Every day more men delete the apps, cancel the dates, close the tabs, and join the ranks. Every day more men look at the old script and set it on fire. We're not asking for permission anymore. We're not begging for approval. We're not negotiating for scraps. We're building, we're rising, we're winning. And we're doing it without looking back. So to every man watching this right now, whether you're 25 and just starting to see the matrix flicker, or 45 and finally free after 2 decades in the cage, hear me clearly. You owe no one your sacrifice. You owe no one your future. You owe no one your peace. Take it and protect it. Build with it. The world told you that you weren't enough without a woman by your side. Prove them wrong every single day just by living well. That's the ultimate revenge. Not hate, not rage, just relentless, unapologetic excellence. Live so well that your happiness becomes their haunting. Live so free that your peace becomes their prison. Live so strong that your joy becomes their proof they were wrong. And never, ever look back. All roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. Now let me hear from you. What did you think about everything we just went through? Do you agree? Do you see it playing out around you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get this conversation going. Like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you love this kind of truth, share this video with every man who needs to hear it. And just remember, all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. Cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.